If you've ever wondered what squat variation is best for your training level, goals, and mobility, this is the video for you. Today we're breaking down a few different options for squat variations based on all of those things, and you'll get a few training tips along the way. If this is your first time here, my name's Justina. I'm a personal trainer based out of New York City who has years of experience working with people not only one-on-one, but also in group and online settings. So if you're looking to learn a little bit today and then apply it in your own training, this is the video for you. So let's start right at the top with some beginner options. My favorite way to start someone squatting is a good old-fashioned goblet squat. While you can use a dumbbell or a kettlebell here, I find the kettlebell to be a better option because by pulling apart on the horns of the bell, we can really get some nice back engagement here. And by loading the weight in the front of the body, we get some good counterbalance to help stay a little bit more upright through the entirety of the squat. If you're someone with limited external hip rotation, you're going to be better off squatting in a more narrow stance. Now, this isn't to say that you don't want to improve your limitations, but if you're simply seeking the best version for you right now, then this is the place that I would be. The reason for that is because once we pass 90 degrees in our squat, the femur or thigh bone needs to externally rotate to continue creating depth. So if you're limited through that range of motion, you'll want to bias as much of a neutral position as possible to start. Now, if you're looking to improve your mobility through external hip rotation or any of the other mobility issues noted today, stick around to the end of the video for some follow-along exercises to help you out. Now, on the flip side, if you're limited through hip internal rotation, you may want more of a sumo stance. The reason here is that once we hit 90 degrees in our squat, your femur will first have to internally rotate before then moving back into external rotation toward the bottom. But if we can't access that internal rotation initially, our squat mechanics are going to be a little off. So you can either opt for a sumo squat or simply start your squat with like a little more of a turned out stance to begin with. This is actually what I do, and I find that most people feel more comfortable squatting this way. So play around to figure out the best variation based on your personal mobility. And finally, we've hit the big one, which is limited ankle dorsiflexion, aka that knee over toe position. This is super common with people and can be attributed to a lot of things, but the easiest workaround is to simply elevate the heels. You can use anything from a wedge to the edge of a plate to a set of dumbbells, and this will essentially open up the angle at the ankle to give you more space to move. Now, a lot of people think this is cheating, but to those people, I would just ask why. Like, why do you think this is cheating? We need to remember that A, not everyone's squat is going to look the same based on their unique anatomy, and B, it's better to meet yourself where you're at than having shitty squat mechanics. And if you're looking to improve your ankle dorsiflexion, remember, stick around to the end of the video for a great exercise to try. Now we're diving into the aesthetic stuff, starting with the glutes. So if your goal is glute growth, you're going to want to prioritize back squats. Due to where the bar is loaded on the back, you'll need more of a forward lean or hinged position as you descend under the weight. This causes more of a stretch in the glutes rather than the quads. Now, don't think that these won't work your quads at all, like these grow your glutes, not your thighs influencers claim. You're still getting ample knee bend. You're simply biasing which muscles are doing more work than others. So now if we want to bias the quads, you guessed it, front squats. With this more upright position, we're now putting most of the bend at the knee, which will prioritize stretching those specific tissues. I think overall what we need to remember with growth goals is that unless you're using a machine, we're probably not able to only isolate and work one muscle at a time. And personally, I don't really see why we would want to. There are just so many great benefits of coordination, stability, and daily life crossover to free weights and barbells that I think most people's training should prioritize them. But that's just my personal philosophy. And finally, we've got our options for limited equipment. This is the fun stuff because this is where you get to get really creative. Split squats, Bulgarians, front foot elevated variations, TRX work, single leg box squats. Each of these exercises are not only going to elicit different adaptations, but we can also get creative with how we're loading them to make them more or less challenging. These are the types of exercises you're going to see a lot of in the Fit Club, which is my online workout platform, since most of our members are working out from home. So you can get a lot of great work with single leg options and milk your equipment for a lot longer. All right, so we're gonna jump right into 3 different mobility drills. We're gonna be focused on creating more external rotation at the hips, internal rotation at the hips, and then ankle dorsiflexion, or that knee over toe position. First exercise, I want you to grab either like a yoga block, a pillow, just something you can sit on to give yourself a little bit more support underneath the butt. And we're gonna go into a Pales Rails contraction. So all this means is that we're basically gonna hold a passive stretch, in this case for a minute, and then we're gonna take 2 contractions that are meant to strengthen both end ranges of that stretch position. So we'll talk a little bit more about it, but let's set up in our base. So we're gonna take this nice beast position. I'm gonna slightly face away so I'm not just like throwing crotch at the camera, but we're gonna have legs nice and wide open, flipping onto the sides of our feet, hands come onto the calves. We're trying to pull ourselves into hip flexion and external rotation. So if I turn to the side here, you can see I'm nice and tall up, okay? So let me get inside the camera. We're gonna put a minute on the clock in this passive stretch. So what that means, passive stretch, we wanna maintain an upright position, but I'm not forcing anything into this deeper stretch, okay? We're just kind of letting the body do its thing. As we go through the minute, we're gonna get more and more relaxed here, all right? So again, what we're gonna do right after this is 2 contractions getting in and out of the movement a little bit deeper. Keep holding yourself upright, and we're gonna talk about those in like 10, 15 more seconds. Just try to relax into this position. So the first contraction we're gonna do, I want eyes on me, but no moving yet. We're gonna stiffen our arms, and I want you to try and close your legs, but you're not gonna let yourself move. As you do that, we wanna resist rounding backwards, okay? Second contraction, we're gonna lift the arms, drive the knees down, growing tall, 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 trying to get into that range of motion a little bit deeper, okay? So we got less than 10 seconds. These are gonna be 20-second contractions. So let's start to stiffen the arms, big inhale. On your exhale, drive the knees into those arms and just start at like 20% intensity. Every exhale, can you give me a little bit more? We should feel our inner thighs working here. Again, stay tall, you're over halfway through. Chest up, focus out, keep on squeezing. Good, big inhale. Exhale, bring the arms out, drive the knees down. Stay tall, 20 seconds here. Now we should feel a little bit more of our external hip rotators or our abductors, side butt, whatever you wanna call it. We got 3, 2, 1. Come back to that passive stretch. We'll just hold her for 20 more seconds, relaxing into it. So again, the idea here is to quite literally carve out more space at our joint by using isometric contractions, okay? There's lots of ways that we can progress this, but this is kind of level 1 if you are missing space through external hip rotation and maybe some flexion as well. Let's come on out of that. We're gonna find a 90-90 base. So in this position, we're gonna do this on both sides. Same thing, minute stretch, 2 contractions in and out. In our 90-90, we wanna make sure we've got knee in line with hip and ankle in both directions. Biggest thing I usually see is this leg extended too far back because internal rotation is a little crunchy here, and that is what we're gonna focus on. So let's find the space. We're gonna hold it for a minute. And same thing, we're gonna focus on the back leg, so internal hip rotation, and we'll take that passive stretch, 2 contractions. So here's the thing. This position can be a little bit tricky for people to find, especially if we're missing some of that front knee down. So you can always grab a bolster to put underneath you on either side to make it more comfortable. So I'm gonna have you continue holding your stretch, but I wanna show you our 2 contractions. So if you're feeling like you're the person who's missing a lot of hip internal rotation, like me, I'm gonna walk your hands forward a little bit, okay? The first contraction we're gonna do is try to push our foot through the floor so the knee will lift, okay? You're gonna feel those external hip rotators. Second contraction, we're gonna verse it, knee down, foot lifts without leaning forward, and we'll feel more of those inner movement, inner muscles. There we go, that's English. All right, so let's take our slight hinge forward, push the floor away, nice tall chest, take a big inhale. On your exhale, drive that foot down, the back knee should lift. Resist rotating at the torso. So again, we're trying to isolate the hip, okay? Every exhale, can you drive down a little bit harder? You're halfway through. Good, big inhale. Exhale, reverse it, drive the knee down, lift that foot. Resist moving anything else. This is a tricky one for sure. If you get a cramp, ease out of it. You can always come back in. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Parachute it down. We're just gonna take 20 seconds. So I'm gonna reset. Whew. See if I can get a little bit more of a stretch through that IR. Great job, everybody. So we're gonna do that on the other side. And the nice thing is with this base, you can do a lot of different things from it. If you have not checked out the sister video to this, I would definitely recommend, because that mobility work is gonna be all from a 90-90 base, and it's gonna hit kind of every angle of the hip joint with a little bit different approach than our Pales rails. So let's find that other side. We're gonna put a minute on the clock, and we'll do the exact same thing here. So first thing, we're trying to drive the foot down. Second drill, we're trying to lift the foot up. All right, we got about 10 seconds left. So let's start to crawl those hands forward just until you find the base of support that you need so we can get some movement. Drive the knees down, big inhale. Exhale, drive that back foot down. Resist rotating. Good. 20 seconds here. You are just about halfway. Again, every exhale, can you push a little bit harder without losing that nice, strong, solid base? 3, 2, and 1. Reverse it. Lift the foot, drive the knee down. Try not to lean forward any more than you were. Again, this doesn't need to be a big range of motion. We're just working in the space we have access to. 10 more seconds. And parachute it down, sit back up. We'll take 20 seconds here. So the last drill we're about to move into is for ankle dorsiflexion, or that knee over toe position. This is gonna be another single side drill. And if you are somebody who has access to like a wedge, or if you even just wanna like take a sock and roll it up, this is gonna help us gain a little bit flatter of a foot, which is really helpful for getting into this position. So grab that now if you have it, and I'll meet you back on the mat. All right, so I've got a nice little wedge here, nothing crazy. You could also, again, grab a towel, a sock, or even like a 5 or 2.5 pound plate is gonna work perfectly. What we're doing is elevating the big toe. So what this is gonna do is just help reteach your body how to flatten out the foot a little bit more efficiently, which we do need to do to get that knee over toe position. So turning to the side, we're gonna find a nice combat base. So I'm sitting back on my heel. Again, toe is elevated, and we're gonna push the knee forward, holding this stretch for a minute. I'm just gonna shift my angle just a bit. Now, if this base does not feel good to you, you can also do this with like the foot propped up on a bench and standing, but I actually really like this base if you can take it, because we're gonna get some added bonus of a nice plantar flexion stretch in the back. And that's a position like if you ever find cramping in Bulgarians or things like that, where your foot is untucked on a bench, this is just a nice place to kind of kill two birds with one stone and gain a little bit more of that comfort in that position. So we're gonna approach this the exact same way. The first thing we're gonna do, keeping this base, is you're gonna try and take your big toes, or your toes, and push them through the floor. The floor is there, so nothing's gonna happen, okay? But we wanna make sure we don't push ourselves back. Second contraction, you're gonna try and lift the toes, and again, nothing's probably gonna happen, okay? So we got about 10 seconds left, a little less than that. Let's take a big inhale. On your exhale, without moving anything, try to drive your toes down. Do not let your heel lift, nothing lifts. We're just working against the floor here. Big inhale. On your exhale, you're gonna try and pull the toes up, or you can think of driving that knee forward more, pulling the heel back. We're essentially trying to get into more of this dorsiflexion or knee over toe position. 10 more seconds. Three, 2, 1, and relax. Oh, good. We're just gonna hold this stretch. I low-key always hate filming this because I just look like a little goblin, like a hobgoblin over her body. But yeah, sometimes you gotta hit these awkward bases and then film it and put it on the internet for everybody. We're gonna do this on the other side and then we'll be done and my hobgoblin ass will take itself away and edit this. So, same thing, we're gonna elevate that big toe. We'll just find the other side. So big toe, ooh, that feels really good on that back foot actually. All right, so we've got our nice stretched position here. We're holding for a minute. Now in a perfect world with our pales rails contractions, we actually do want to hold this passive stretch for a little bit longer, closer to 2 minutes. That just gives us a little bit more time for our nervous system to kind of relax into a position. If you've ever been someone who had to stretch growing up, like maybe if you danced or did gymnastics, you'll know that the longer you sit in a stretch, the more your body gets used to it. And that's your nervous system just going, okay, this is a safe space. So for the sake of today and like keeping things moving, we're keeping it down to a minute, which does get the job done. But if you have more time, I would recommend a 2-minute passive stretch here. We got about 20 more seconds. Again, just to review, the first contraction, we're gonna try and push our toes into the floor. Second, we're gonna try and pull up or pull ourselves forward, all right? So let's start to set up a nice supported base. I'm gonna try not to block my foot. Here we go, big inhale. On your exhale, start to drive those toes down. Good, we should feel a lot of work around the ankle, calf, front of the ankle. I'm feeling a nice inner thigh stretch right here. Big inhale. On your exhale, pull the toes up, try to drive that knee forward more. Halfway through, 10 seconds, keep pulling, keep pulling. We got 3, 2, 1. Relax into the stretch. Whew, great work. And we'll carefully ease on out, give your ankles a little shake. Whew. Really, really nice job. So if you enjoyed those types of approaches to mobility, just so you know, I do have a ton of different workouts within my online membership, the Fit Club, as well as an 8-week progressive program called the Functional Flexibility Program, which basically does help you increase your mobility in a progressive way, very much like strength training, where we're adding reps and load and intensity over time over an 8-week program. It does really complement strength training well, so if you're interested, I will leave that link down below. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, and I will see you all in the next one.